Welcome back to Persona Week. I hope that I sound okay. I have the mic in a very different position from what I'm used to, but this should theoretically be perfectly fine. We'll see what happens, we'll see what plays out. For now, though, it is, again, anniversary year, 30th anniversary for Persona, and we're still waiting on any, real major news in terms of any information in regards to Persona 4 I keep wanting to say Rewind, which would have been, personally to me, a way better title, right? That's why I kept calling it Rewind before. But Persona 4 Revival or whatever, and any information in regards to any other projects, you know what I'm saying? We did just recently get the definitive edition for Shin Megami Tensei 6 or 5, excuse me. And we're still waiting on just any general information. Maybe this year we could get a couple of ports. Like I said in one of my previous videos, I was really hoping that maybe this year we could get ports for Persona Q and Q2, as I do really enjoy those games, and I really do think that they deserve a little bit better of a chance to be played on modern hardware, right? Those are very well developed games and things like that. So hopefully, maybe as something to help tide over the year, maybe we could get something with that. I don't know where, Atlas news is generally talked about outside of they drop usually during Xbox conferences and stuff like that, or during their little direct things that they usually do. So I think what happened recently though, and we didn't get any information. So if we're not getting it there, maybe the next major Nintendo Direct, who knows? Maybe the next major State of Play, who knows? Maybe we'll get it Summer Games Fest. That's really, really far away. So I don't know, during the earlier parts of the year is where it's really kind of a mess when it comes to announcements and stuff like that, because we really never know, right? The biggest thing that we have to look forward to is the Nintendo Direct, or the first major Nintendo Direct of the year. And that's what's going to tell us what's going to be available. And hopefully, again, with Persona Q and Q2 being 3DS exclusives, I think it would be extremely fitting for those games to be announced here during a Nintendo Direct. So for Persona Q1 and 2, obviously. Now, to get a little bit on topic here, I do have one major concern for Persona 6. Obviously, there's a lot of things that I want to happen with Persona 6, and that's a different video that we could talk about later in the week or something like that, whenever that comes out, probably Friday or something. We'll see what happens. But I do have one big concern with Persona 6, and that is the reality that we could still end up getting a definitive edition down the line, right? So, anybody that's been following Persona, you know how this works, right? Usually you get the original version of the game, whatever that may happen to be, whether it be Persona 3, Persona 4, Persona 5, whatever, right? And even with more modern titles, you know what I'm saying? With Shin Megami Tensei, right? With those, we got Persona 3 FEZ, we got Persona 4 Golden, we got Persona 5 Royal, and stuff like that. And then Shin Megami Tensei Vengeance, which is just the better version of the game. I still have yet to play it, but I think I have it ready to go at a moment's notice. So whenever I'm down to hop into a massive RPG, I might do that, but I'm working through Mass Effect right now. Regardless, though, definitive editions are a major thing with Atlas for whatever reason, where they'll release a game, they'll see, if they like it, or just see what the general reception is in regards to those titles, and then based on reception, they'll improve on the game, and maybe a year or a couple years down the line, they'll inevitably release a definitive edition. And in that definitive edition, it's usually just 9 times out of 10, the best way to experience the game. It is always the better way to experience the game, right? For example, with Persona 5 Royal, we always had a problem with, when it came to going out at night and stuff like that. Morgana would always stop you. He would completely limit you. And so therefore it would make it very hard for you to get anything done, especially during the earlier parts of the game. But, inevitably with the Royale version, we got a bunch of different quality of life updates, a lot of different things to do. We were given a little bit more freedom. Our combat was a little bit better. It flowed a lot better with, how they fixed up the gunplay and stuff like that. It was just a lot better, and it just had a much better flow type situation. Same with Persona 4 Golden compared to 4, you know what I'm saying? There was just a lot of general improvements in terms of gameplay and developments and things like that, you know what I'm saying? Social stats were a little bit, more bearable to work towards and things like that. It was just a much better time overall, and best way to experience it. On top of that, it's usually where they add a good majority of extra story too, right? usually they find some way to add in some last major story element in these games. From what I've seen, I mean, I still have yet to see what happens with Shin Megami Tensei 5. But when it comes to like Persona 4 Golden and Persona 5, we had major story arcs that were added, right? We had Persona 4 Golden with its brand new ending, a completely different ending with what happened with Marie and stuff like that. And then in Persona 5, we got an entirely, like, a new semester, like a whole new semester. I say it's new semester, but it's relatively short for the most part. Like, it's very, very direct and straightforward with how it operates. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's cool and dandy and all, but it's still like, you know, would have been nice to have this stuff as like maybe DLC or something. Maybe just build onto the base game a little bit, and that would incentivize people to play a little bit more. Like, I think they would be surprised how many people would just be like, you know, cool with like a little $15 mega expansion that gives major updates and quality of life changes and like extra story and gameplay changes and fixes and things like that, right? Because, you know, one thing about like Metaphor is that there definitely could be some improvements here and there. It's been a while. I gotta really like sit down with it again to really point out all of the things that I would really want to see fixed with that. But for the most part, you know, I could have definitely seen a situation in which that could have happened with Metaphor, and I think that is going to be my biggest issue with Persona 6, is that there is a reality in which we do get a base Persona 6 and it follows this same trend. Because the problem with that is that we do this and then people are just like kind of waiting for this new version to release, and so they just completely ignore the base game, and so that kind of hurts general sales and incentive for them to like put any more work into it. But on the opposing side, you know, they do this and then it just kind of completely renders the original game absolutely obsolete, and there's really no reason to ever go back to it, right? Because as far as like with Vengeance especially, right, with Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, there is zero, like most people that have played that game have said is zero reason to ever go back to the original game, especially when they fixed up gameplay elements, the ending, and a lot of different things that just make the game overall better. There's no reason to ever go back to the original Shin Megami Tensei 5, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, we experienced that throughout with like the original Persona 5 and Royal and Persona 4 and Golden. No reason to ever go back to the original, and I feel like that, you know, that hurts like generally everybody more than they realize, because if we just end up skipping out on the original version or whatever just because we know that there's going to be a better version that comes out down the line, it's not going to be a good look, you know, like later, you know what I'm saying? So I think our best bet here is to off rip. All you have to do is simply just learn from any mistake you may have made with any of the original base games and see what improvements you made that, you know, resonated with people the most, and just attempt, right? Just generally attempt to make a finalized, like, this is all we're getting version of Persona 6, right? Because there is no world in which, you know, in this modern era in which I can justify, you know, a third purchase of like Persona 6 or something like that, just because, especially because they always do that situation in which we get that newer version and it is full price. It is full AAA price each time. And now, based on, you know, how the economy's going, it's not looking good out here in the West, bro. We're gonna have to be shelling out $70 two separate times for the exact same game. Like I said in one of my previous videos, the thing about Persona games, they're long, dude. They are stupid long, right? So it's very easy for those games to sit with you if you get invested enough, because when you're playing for that amount of time, over 100+ hours, that story sticks with you. You know, everything that you did, you know, you're going on a very lengthy journey, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to go back to back with a game like that within even a couple of months, right? So even if we do get like the original version of Persona 6 and then we get it a couple of years later, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna be too burnt out to even care. Probably, you know what I'm saying? Like, I am right now, like I said in one of my previous videos, I'm already on the fence of like, do I even want to continue my current playthrough of Persona 4 Golden? Because there's a good chance we may either get revival at the end of this year or possibly even next year. And if that happens, I'm gonna be burnt out on Persona 4. I don't want to burn out on Persona 4 right before the newest version comes out, because like, you know, I'm sure this is going to be like the ultimate definitive edition, right? This is going to follow Golden, and it's going to have every nook and cranny in there. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like how Persona 3 Reload I mean, base game didn't come with like the DLC and all that stuff, but we did eventually get like episode Aegis and stuff like that, which we got to talk about that. I have a lot of issues with Persona 3 Reload, despite how much I love it. But regardless, that was a major issue, and I really don't want to see something like that happen with Persona 6. I really do want them to just look at what's available from all of these previous titles and just finish the game off rip. And then if we really, really want to expand on it, just give us like a nice little like maybe a little $10, $15 upgrade or something maximum. You know what I'm saying? Like if you really have to charge for it, $10, $15 maximum, maybe 20 if you really want to push it. But like, if you were already pushing it, shelling out full price for these other games. You know what I'm saying? Like I love Persona. It's going to be really hard to justify down the line what's going to happen with that. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to get smart with it, add an expansion later if you really see that there's a lot of ways that the game could be improved, and quality of life could be, damn, that stutter was crazy, wasn't it? Quality of life could be boosted in a couple of different ways, and you see an opportunity to do that. Just make a super mega update, right? I'm sure there's going to be a situation in which you end up planning, like, this is me talking to Atlas, by the way. I'm sure there's going to be a situation in which they see an opportunity for some DLC where they could add, like, maybe another semester like they did for Persona 5 Royal, or they can add just another story element, maybe like a summer vacation or a winter vacation, like DLC situation in which something major happens and we have to go into a palace or a dungeon or whatever that way, and they can add on to that through DLC with that major update, with that major story update. That's usually always inevitable, something for like a brand new ending. Maybe we could go out of our way to, add some additional stuff, some quality of life stuff that people, because they pay attention to what the internet says, right? You can pay attention to what people are saying and implement those fixes and changes through that major update, right? Because that makes a lot more sense to me personally. But I don't know. I think that would just be the best way to go about it, because, yeah, again, this economy is a little too tough to justify shelling out another like $78, possibly even $80 by the time that game drops for the exact same game for like 90% of it. And then like, yeah, with a couple of changes here and there. And then there's like that last like 10% with all of the updates and fixes to the base game and the quality of life, and, maybe even a new character that's playable or something like that. And then with some story, you know what I'm saying? Like another full triple. No, don't do that anymore. Now the thing was, right, I'm not ignoring the news on this or anything like that, but I think they did mention that they were concerned about this as well, and they might be pulling back on this, which is why I'm pretty sure Metaphor Refantasio is done, right? I think they're not going to do that with Metaphor. Maybe that would be really cool. I mean, my suggestion, I'd be cool if they decided to add a little expansion and they did something with that. So just some actual like extra content for us to play around with. But if not, whatever, that's totally fine. I'm down for like just a one and done whatever situation when it comes to Persona 6. And I feel like they are learning from their mistakes with that and really honing down, which is why we haven't seen Persona 6 yet. They want it to make, this game as good as humanly possible. Frame 1, right? Because I think this is one of the... No, never mind. This isn't. I think Persona 5 is still the longest we've seen between Persona games, correct? Right? So, yeah. I mean, if you want to go between, like, technically, between Persona 4 and Persona 5, that was a really long time. But we are, like, inching closer to that, like, that length with Persona 5 and Persona 6. Difference is, Persona 5 is easily the most milked game of in history, I think. I think Persona 5 might genuinely be one of the most milked games in gaming history. That's not an exaggeration. And I think they're going to do the exact same thing with Persona 6 if it pops off enough. I don't know. I don't know how well Metaphor sold, but I do know that, this generation's attention span is very cooked, so it's kind of hard to imagine a lot of people being able to comfortably sit down with Persona 6. But you know what? I could be crazy. There's a lot of us out there that really, really want more games like this, and we're hoping that Persona 6 is really, really good. So hopefully we do get a situation in which we just do get the one game in of itself, and we're just good off that. So that's how I'd like to see it. But hey, you know what? Maybe that's just me. So that just about does it for this one. This one I kind of did on a whim because I do have a list of things that I want to see change in Persona 6. I don't know if that list is complete yet. Also, I'm super behind because this is technically like the last week of January that I'm going to be doing this, and I've been slacking. I finally got my mic situation fixed, and then I got so insanely like sneezy. Like the wind picked up and my allergies went bonkers, brother. Like, I'm recording this at 1 a.m. because I'm finally better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I sneezed so hard, you know what? Nobody cares about this. I'm passing the mic over to you guys, and I want you guys to tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below. Do you agree with my concern about Persona 6 potentially getting the definitive edition that will render the original version completely pointless, as well as it's going to be charged like an insane price, and everybody's going to be super upset and mad about that, and we're going to be having a bad time, and it's pretty much guaranteed? Or are we on the opposing side? You think that they really did learn from their mistakes based on what they told us in that one article? Maybe I'll pull it up or something, put it on screen if you can, future self, if you remember. And they learned from their mistakes, and we're not going to have another situation like that, and we won't see that definitive edition again. Tell me everything you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just so. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gonzo. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!